My name is Cliff Thompson, and I have the distinct privilege to serve as the superintendent of the Sauk Prairie School District. It is truly my honor to share this introduction regarding strategic planning for the Sauk Prairie School District and surrounding community facilities and field space. The strategic planning captures a 10-year vision for academics, arts, athletics, and community recreation. Once that you have had the opportunity to hear this information, I feel that you too will be just as excited as I am about the possibilities of what this partnership can create, eventually opening new horizons to the meanings of collaboration, communication, while continuing to embody a community of hope and promise. Together, we will continue to do great things for the Sauk Prairie community and school district. Bring your voice, thoughts, and visions as we move forward together. Go, bud.
My name is John Lehan, Community Education and Recreation Director at the Community Center. We're now going to be covering our field usage overview. Experts recommend 70 events per field. 1.5 hours equals one event. You see on the chart to your right, we have 5,322 hours for our community and our school district fields. One of the key points we emphasize with this high hour of usage is a Gmax force and the compaction of field safety. When we divide our fields by 27, or we divide our events by 27 fields, we see that we have 131 events per field. On our school fields, we have 4,290 hours. On the chart you see to the right, you see majority of the use is 58% comes from youth sports and 30% from the high school, with our stadium field having 163 events per year. Next, our village fields have 58 events per field. And on the chart to the right, you see our soccer fields with 2,486 hours, which highlights our highest participated sport in Sauk Prairie. Full usage overview available online.
Hello, I'm Chad Harness, the high school's principal, and we will now begin talking about some specific project areas associated with this strategic planning. First, our stadium complex, and specifically the stadium field. A big element of discussion amongst the planning committee right now is that eventually, in the next 5 to 10 years, our stadium field will need to be replaced. Whether that is replaced with a new natural grass surface or replaced with a synthetic turf surface. You can see initial cost estimates and some pluses and minuses for each of those considerations. Other areas of the stadium complex would include bleacher upgrades to the visitor side, a redo of the entire track surface, which is something that will be necessary in the coming decade. An optional consideration is including a plaza to the entry of the facility. This would create an entry statement, a tailgating area. It would allow for safer egress and would give us a gathering space for families and athletes to meet after events. Another optional consideration is a press box, which would be bolted onto the top of the visitor side bleachers. And lastly, the final optional consideration is whether we would create a new concession and or team locker rooms with restrooms to the east of the stadium complex, which does not exist now. All of these are up for discussion. We look forward to hearing your input. Other areas of the high school grounds up for discussion would be the addition of a soccer-only stadium facility, which would be south of the main stadium complex. That would be a natural grass surface, and you can see an initial cost estimate for that. To the far south end of the high school grounds are all of our varsity and JV softball fields, upgrades to those, including moving fencing and upgrading the dugouts. The northwest corner of the property has a football practice field, which will need ongoing maintenance and upgrades to that football field surface. The field event areas, including long jump, pole vault, shot put, and discus, are scattered throughout the north half of the high school facility, and there were required upgrades to those facilities over the coming years. A multi-purpose athletic field encompasses the last of the green space on the high school grounds, and that would be a place where lacrosse, soccer, football, track and field could all use that for practice. And then lastly, the tennis courts. In our ongoing plans for the future, we're considering ways that we can upgrade and continue doing our ongoing maintenance on the tennis courts, and there's a cost estimate for our work there.
Next, we're going to cover our middle school grounds. We're focusing first on the multi-purpose fields directly behind the middle school. That includes reseeding, regrading, and potential irrigation added to those fields. Mainly you'll see in this picture to the right that we're looking at adding a ball diamond sports complex. When looking at that, we're shifting over the field, the baseball diamond from Grand Avenue, looking at adding 2 baseball fields, 1 softball field, making sure that all these fields are skinned with movable bases to make sure they're multi-dimensional for our baseball and our softball groups. Also, this includes batting cages, storage areas, press box and concession stand, and also enhancing parking to this area of the middle school grounds. Next are elementary grounds. On Grand Avenue, we're looking to add 3 multi-purpose fields, adding irrigation, regrading to make this a multi-dimensional space for our youth sports and our community events. Teller Rock also looks at adding a baseball and a softball multi-purpose space. Bridges Elementary, already finished as we see, are 2 U10 soccer fields, fully irrigated, graded, and seeded. Next are our community parks. First, the Village of Prairie du Sac. Westwind Park, looking at adding lacrosse and football fields to this area with irrigation, basketball courts, a skate park / plaza, and also adding parking. For the Village of Sauk City, at August Derleth Park, looking at adding a soccer complex with irrigation, a layout change, concession stand and shade structures, playground equipment, and enhanced parking layout. Also throughout this process, we'll be looking at improvements to make to our other community parks as needed.
Our last project area is considering additional high school facilities additions. A highest need would be a wrestling room. For those of you who've had an opportunity to visit our wrestling room, you know that it's located back underneath the bleachers of the South Gymnasium. There are support pillars that reach down throughout that room. While our coaches do an excellent job of keeping our wrestlers safe in there, as that program grows and as more and more wrestlers come out, I think it's imperative that we consider moving a wrestling room to a more modern facility. Also, our weight room is located in the balcony of the South Gymnasium. It's upstairs. It makes it difficult for students with special needs to use. We could use it for many more things if we could get it into a place where it's more accessible. So moving that down to a ground level would be also an excellent decision. Over the course of the 50-year life cycle of this building, we've made many upgrades to locker rooms. We're planning for the next upgrade to our locker rooms, and you can see that included in the cost of this possible future. One of the things that we will have to make a decision of as a community over the course of the next decade is what to do with our indoor pool. The current indoor pool is reaching its end of life. Experts tell us that we have about a decade left of use in that facility, and then we'll have to make a decision to either be a high school without an indoor pool or we'll have to build a new indoor pool. Our cost estimate for that is a 7-digit number. You can see the 7 question marks. That's because we can't realistically estimate how much it's going to cost unless we know what year we're going to do that construction. But it's definitely going to be in the millions of dollars. And then lastly, you can see a field house future here in the upper right drawing on this slide. That field house is there because many members of our community have asked us to consider a field house. What would a field house cost? How would we do a field house? What might that look like in a future plan of the high school? We've included a full 4-station field house here that would have a walking track, a central main competition floor, which would allow for all kinds of events to take place there. Our best cost estimate that puts that in the tens of millions of dollars, which is why we have an 8-digit question mark there. Other considerations for our strategic planning obviously include maintenance and care plans, safety for our users, updating our facility policies. We're considering any of these that might make us a more attractive school choice option for families considering moving their families to the Sauk Prairie area. We're considering which of these additions will enhance student and civic pride for our facilities and spaces, and also which of these may have an economic impact, short and long-term drivers in economic activity, and events that strengthen not just students and athletes, but our community as well. Our timeline, August 1st, the community survey will be released. We have additional community summits, as you see scheduled there. Our committee will be presenting to the school board data from the survey summits and focus groups in September, and in October, we'll present a final recommendation to the school board. If you're interested in more information, if you would like to see this entire slideshow in a format where you can click through it and look at individual slides yourself in a slower, more luxurious fashion, you can see all of that at the website provided there. And if you have any additional questions, you can reach out to any members of the strategic planning team that you see listed on this slide. Thank you for your time today. Have a great day.